Hey there, everyone. Welcome on into VGMporium once more. I'm your host, Rage Cage, and today I have another guest, and he's bringing in some night jams, as he calls them, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. So who are you, sir?
What's up, everybody? I'm Chuck of the not-so-famed Haberchuck duo. You might have seen me on Twitter, YouTube, just kind of making chiptunes and just hanging about.
Nice. Yeah, so Haberchuck here, or Chuck of Haberchuck. I know we kind of became aware of each other like maybe a year and a half or so ago, maybe close to 2 years ago. I don't know. So it's kind of during that whole close to the post-pandemic times, because I saw you were posting like stuff that you were making with Deflamask and then Furnace Tracker, and you the same for me. And yeah, we just kind of started getting to talking. And
yeah, I think I saw something of yours. You had like a bowling theme, I think it was, on like SoundCloud. I'm like, all right, this guy knows what's up. Like I dig this theme. I'm getting a feel for it, and I literally joke to myself all the time that like I do not need a SoundCloud weekly. I just go to Rage Cage's, most recent shares and reposts, and that's all I need to find, and then I find all the best stuff. So it's like it just the stars aligned and it worked out.
Kind of crazy, so between you and then there's another one, Moffel, spelled Moffel. I found them years ago, probably like 2015, 2014, and they were doing a lot of the same thing, reposting and resharing things that I liked. And so I was kind of like, we kind of seem to be going back and forth, and now I have like at least 2 or 3 people that I'm seeing constantly like reposting things I reposted, or I'm reposting things they've reposted and liked and all this stuff. So it's kind of a cool little cool little loop that's going on. You and I are actually the only ones that really have communicated, but it's just kind of cool to see like these same names coming up, and
it's true. Yeah.
there's more people out there that have the similar taste of music.
Absolutely. There's like this weird sort of chiptune like Venn diagram where like you have people that are in the community and like you have this sort of bond over a certain type or a chip or like just some sort of like retro influence, and then you kind of like work your way around the circle, and certain ones you obviously blend with better than others. But it is kind of cool just to almost have a silent friendship with people just over the music.
Yeah, no, it's been a really cool experience. So now what you're bringing in here to the shop is like you said, as you termed, night jams. So can you kind of maybe talk about like what you like and what night jams mean to you?
Absolutely. So my first video game system was the Sega Genesis. I think Sonic 2 was my first game. Naturally transitioned into Streets of Rage and some of the other popular titles, And I think the big thing about the Genesis is like it had that sort of nighttime, like more like smooth kind of like vibe to it. I know they always went with like the speed and like the blast processing, but I feel like the cool end of the Genesis is it had those like, again, futuristic, dystopian, cyberpunk, whatever kind of games. No, obviously you had like Shining Force and whatever, but the SNES was kind of the happy system, the colorful system, and the Sega was kind of like the quote-unquote grown-up system. And a lot of the music just kind of like spoke to me because it had those different vibes, whether it was like funk or, again, we're talking about house and other stuff like that.
Yeah, so games like some of the Sonic music, definitely Streets of Rage. Was it Revenge of Shinobi? That again, that was a Yuzo Koshiro. Even Shinobi 3. Oh geez, I'm trying to think of other games that are.
Vector Man had a lot of sweet music.
Yeah, even like Sonic Spinball, which was like a Gems Engine game, and as delightful the Gems Engine can sound, that too kind of like fits in that thing because it's like really dark and grungy.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's
I can't think of the name of the guy that did that. Like, but he came from like grunge background too. Sega even started like bringing in those people that kind of had that like 90s alt feel to it, and like they definitely developed like that musical culture of having sort of like a different music scene outside of the little bleeps and bloops that kind of were like pre-made MIDI gem stuff. Yeah,
and then of course what's definitely not gems is this track, Dilapidated Town from Streets of Rage, composed by Yuzo Koshiro. And it's amazing that he was able to pull this out of just like those two chips. What is? Well, I already know what this man was up to and how he did it, but still, it's just amazing.
No, absolutely, and like the fact that you actually like, I think about you, and I don't know about you, Rage Cage, if I could talk, when you do this kind of stuff, but like I'm in constant playback mode, like I'm always trying to like listen to what I'm playing, and the fact that when you do this right through MML, if I'm not mistaken, you actually have to like stop and essentially like put it into the chip and into the machine and like listen to the fact that you can make music like this without hearing it constantly, it's incredible to me.
Yeah, because he got started back with Falcom using like the whole PC 88, 98 series of computers. So, and that was like maybe 6 or 5 years before he did this soundtrack. So, and which he made this soundtrack using that program, I think it was like Mucom with the PC, NEC PC series computers, and just fed it through the the YM2612 and the SN76489, and just by that point he probably already knew, like he could probably hear it just writing it and everything,
right?
And then having it play through, he's like,
yeah, right, yeah. The dude's so good at everything. It's no surprise that like he's. I actually saw this the other day. There was a tag on a song I liked on SoundCloud. It was Yuzo Core. That's what it was called, and I think it's a fitting genre, right? It just like has a feel to it, and like you're like, that is a Yuzo Koshiro song.
Yuzo Core. Wonder if he knows about that one.
That's a good question. I don't know.
We can definitely hit him up on Twitter. He's like actively, like, that's the cool thing about him too. He's like actively like interacting with people, like just I see him having regular conversations with that Alberto Jose Gonzalez, just going back and forth and occasionally answering questions with just random people just saying things to him. So that's the other cool thing there, is like he's actually interacting with people about the music he's made and is making.
For sure, yeah. He's I've definitely seen him repost stuff and just kind of like thank people for like kind of using him as an inspiration. Like it's nice to have a good person that you can kind of be like, yeah, that's awesome. He makes great music, great guy.
Yeah. And speaking of some great music, I was gonna try to segue into there, but I lost it. Oh geez. But no, speaking of great music though, you sir, have been making some awesome music. I mean, like I said, in the past year and a half, just like kind of watching you progress has been insane. It's just crazy to me.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, again, we go back to like the community at large and just, yeah, like a lot of just taking your lumps, right, and just kind of trying to listen to what other people do, and even yourself, again, just like when we first collaborated, just seeing a couple things you do, you just pick up things here and there, and slowly but surely you kind of make like a little stockpile of tricks and ideas, and I do appreciate it. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I could definitely say kind of what I'm hearing a lot of in your when you do FM stuff, like especially your Sega stuff, is a little bit of Matt Furness and how some of your leads sound and how some of the composition kind of sounds. It's kind of, I don't know if it's intentional or if you've been listening to his stuff like when you were making it or not, but yeah, definitely some of your earlier stuff definitely had kind of like a Matt Furness sound going on.
I appreciate it. Again, another name that you obviously want to be associated with in any situation, but I think honestly that was just. Yeah, like leads, I really like to start, my theory typically is to start on the ass end, and I do a lot of like bass and drums first. So like leads are kind of like vibing out, right? You're like, just like the last track, you kind of got that like swing feel, you get the drums going, and you just kind of hit what feels nice, and that's where most of my leads come from. So just, yeah, a lot of trying to kind of get into a groove and just go with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same because like, I'm a beatboxer, so I kind of start with like, the rhythm and the bass a little bit. And I've been trying to kind of make myself work a little bit more, melody first, trying to figure out like a nice melody. But I always kind of revert back to bass and drums, and always kind of like with a melody, I just find a good one, and then I'm looping it and not really making good progressions.
You know what, man? Sometimes you just got to go with what feels right, and like I feel like that pocket. I play electric bass as well, so that like that pocket, right? You just like kind of sync up with it, and sometimes you don't even need a melody. Like I feel like a lot of those tracks, speaking to Yuzo Koshiro, like they don't even have like full-on melodies. There's just like a lot of dabbling, a lot of almost like scatting over the top of like him just kind of just like vamping on the same idea over and over. It's super impressive that he can do that.
He's a crazy talented man, and he's still got many years ahead of him, and I look forward to what he's going to be doing in the future. And speaking of future, I got a game that is about some future stuff going on here. Some track, I don't know if you've listened to this or heard of this soundtrack before, but this is coming from Read Only Memories, and this is Stardust Hybrid Night, and this is composed by Mello. Well, welcome back, folks. What you just heard there was Stardust Hybrid Night from Read Only Memories, composed by Mello. And, I love this soundtrack. I've been listening to it since 2016. Chuck, what'd you think of this?
I mean, again, it's got all those, those night feels, just that smooth feel. And again, like I keep talking about, it's like something deep within those rhythm instruments. I don't know what it is. I feel like so much of like Western music's like relies on hitting on the one and like the melody, and just like I love when you hear composers, especially like from the East. I feel like Japan's been doing so much stuff that I was never aware of before getting into chiptune, where like they've had these movements where they're into fusion jazz and like into just like using rhythm in different ways, and it's just awesome stuff. It like makes you just bob your head and you can't resist.
Yeah, even like getting into like city pop too. That's like the I've been seeing like last 2021, 2022, there was like a huge interest boom in city pop. I don't know, have you ever listened to any city pop?
Absolutely. That's actually one of the, that and future funk are like two genres I've weirdly just, stumbled upon kind of adjacently to chiptune.
That's a really interesting hole to dig into. Kind of, again, as I told you in the break, it's just the music that was around when we were just like toddlers, and by the time we had a musical awareness, a lot of it we wasn't playing on the radio anymore, and the only way you could find is like weird channels or even like CDs and tapes that you might have happened to come upon.
Right. I mean, it was that golden day, I feel like, of the internet, right, where you're like digging through things and you find those gems, and like you got an MP3 buried somewhere in your C drive that like you carry to every single computer you've had from that point, because you can't lose that file. It's such a good song, you can't lose it.
No, I have definitely a few soundtracks that are like that are just like been on MP3 players and now on just a thumb drive that's in my car.
Absolutely.
Constantly. They just followed me. You know this.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, this game, Read Only Memories, is kind of a weird 2D like side-scrolling adventure game. It's not like an action adventure game. It's more of kind of like a point-and-click style, and it's like a really cool aesthetic. Like it's utopian with some slightly dystopian undertone type future, and I was always wanted to play this one, but I never bought it. And there's a sequel to this one too, but again, I just haven't gotten around to playing it. But the soundtrack I've listened to ever since I found it when it came out. And it's an amazing soundtrack. And anybody listening, I suggest you go check it out. You can find it on Bandcamp under Mello. Look up Sounds of Neo San Francisco.
I take Rage Cage's recommendations with an absolute gold star, so I'm gonna go buy it probably later tonight.
Yeah, I know it's And then let's see, our guy Mello here, who composed this, is actually majority of their music is actually a lot of like jet set radio or jet grind radio inspired stuff. He has actually worked on the soundtrack for Cyberpunk Bomb Rush that's coming out soon. I don't know if you're familiar with that project.
No, I'm not actually.
Yeah, it looks just like jet set radio, like really cool cel shaded 3D graphics. All the music sounds like jet set radio, and even Hideki Naganuma like made some tracks for it as well, and it's all like a lot of parkour stuff. So like guys on rollerblades, skateboards, just running, grinding on stuff, wall running, doing like graffiti and stuff. So it's basically like a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio.
Okay, we talking like a lot of like high tempo stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's wacky stuff. But so when I found out that he did that stuff, I was kind of like, huh. And because this stuff is very different from what he generally makes. So it's just kind of again, shows that that range of you don't know what people are capable of until they show you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And again, like it's like that's the best part now, is I feel like the OST side of things they've become so like not mainstream necessarily, but accessible compared to before. Like you're playing the sound test like in your living room or whatever on your like beat up CRT. And nowadays you can kind of actually just enjoy it and take it in the car, do whatever with it.
I have my own walking sound test on my phone, and it's like just what I have like maybe a couple gigs worth of music, like of the raw data formats, like NSF, VGM, all that stuff, with which if it was an MP3 would take up multiple gigabytes of space. So it's like my own little sound test on my little tiny phone.
Right.
It's your track next. So what do you got? What's our next jam for the night here?
So what you're gonna hear next here is Tasteful on the PlayStation 1 version from Tales of Phantasia, and again from a guy who's I feel like made so much RPG music, I just always end up looking for the composer, expecting it to be him. Rage Cage, you can say his name better than I can, so I want to make sure I don't butcher it. That's all you.
All right, so the composer on this one is, of course, the never-ending, ever-talented Motoi Sakuraba. Welcome back, folks. Hope your this night is kind of going nice and smooth for you with this tune here. This was Tasteful from Tales of Phantasia, the PS1 version, and this was composed by Motoi Sakuraba. And so, Haberchuck. I was going to call you Haberchuck, but you're Chuck. You're just Chuck Kowalski. What can you tell me about this here? Like, what's your experience with this game? Because I think you said you emulated this one?
Yeah, I did. I think that was my first experience with it. And it's one of those things now where it's like you play so many PS1 RPGs, you just don't know anymore. But I think I emulated it. And again, when you hear like the soundtracks, they have like they hit all the different buttons. They check all the boxes. And I feel like with this one, I think you had a gentleman that ran your little like casino.
That was Julius Valentino.
A very fine gentleman. I thought he did a great job hosting when you were out of town or handling some other business elsewhere. Taking care of the shop. But reminds me a lot of that. I like a nice like smoky sort of like barroom feel. Like you're in that town, and every town has, or at least the big cities, right? They have that place where you get like the information, or you go to the bar, you got to meet someone behind the stage or whatever. And this is exactly what that theme was. And I feel like it did a great job, kind of capturing that barroom jazz.
Yeah, this is definitely pretty smoky. Yeah, I was kind of surprised, like, because you had originally given me like a initial submission list of things you wanted to play, and they were all kind of more along the lines of Dilapidated Town and that read-only memories track, and then you kind of came with this revised one more towards the nostalgia end of things, and this is a little bit more. Yeah, kind of a little bit more laid back and not as...
Right, no, absolutely. I think when I was thinking about it, we were talking about making music, and like the first music that I ever really started making that I feel like you'd even like call, and I know you can already talk about genres like being weird, but like VGM, video game music, was kind of like RPG stuff, and it really just resonated from these games, like random melodies or just like tunes that like you can hear. And I feel like this is something that people have talked about sort of positively on behalf of video game music. It's like, I don't need necessarily like lyrics or a certain line that I can sing back. It's just like, I just hear that beat or that rhythm or that melody, and it's like, oh, there it is, I'm in that RPG again. So
yeah,
I kind of want to dial it back a little bit. This is one of those ones that stuck with me.
Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, this definitely fits that night jam feel, just walking down the downtown street. It's a little chilly.
Well, yeah, so I can clarify, yeah, you got to go into the basement bar of the town. It's been a while, but you go in the basement bar of the town. That's where kind of everyone gathers there, and you kind of like meet up. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while, you have to talk to a dancer after her set, and get some sort of information or touch base, and like, you know, so it's the right spot for it. And just again, you did a great job kind of capturing the feel of it.
I haven't really had much experience with this game soundtrack, maybe like, you know, a few of the obvious tracks that everybody kind of talks about, but as far as the Tales soundtracks, this is kind of like the part of Motoi Sakuraba I'm kind of like blind on. I'm more familiar with like Golden Sun and then a lot of his Wolf Team stuff, so like all his like Sega Genesis and early like PC stuff too, so that's kind of where my my eyes on Motoi are right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to keep up. Like, he did Mario Golf and Mario Tennis too. Like, he's done everything.
It just keeps going. Like, I think he's like, God, I think he's been doing like 3 soundtracks a year or something like that, and they're all like, you know, 50 plus songs.
Sounds right, man. Again, these guys are prolific. I know his stuff's on Spotify. He was in like a prog band. It was like kind of, I don't want to. It's hard to describe. Rush adjacent, maybe not even, but. Right, he was in some sort of prog band, so you can find his real old stuff that I think before he even got into like his initial like composing days for games. You can hear some of that, and you hear bits of it.
Yeah, you can definitely hear kind of where he came from and what he's doing with all his stuff. Even like his RPG stuff kind of has all that going on. But I think we're gonna kind of go on the other end of the spectrum of this kind of feel here. So I got next here for us. This is an original track made by somebody who's kind of almost in a contemporary, like making music around the same time. This is Black and White by Masaya Shiranaga. Hey there, folks. Welcome back. So this was Black and White by Masaya Shiranaga, and this is not linked to any game. This is actually, I don't know if it's even linked to a music disc, but this is an original piece. Yes, what can I say about this? Is that Masaya Shiranaga, I worked on one game. What is it? Variable Geo 2, Cabal of the Goddess, which was a fighting game on the PC 98. PC 98. Oh, geez, I'm falling apart here. Yeah, before I get more into this, I want to ask you, like, what'd you think of this? What do you think of this track?
For me, again, like, it's like, I don't know. I always want to boil it down to, like, its core. And, like, it's crazy how many of these tracks, like, go for that, like, that kick snare. It's like in the hi-hats. There's like something in it. Like everyone's got that like little sort of like internal feel, right? You always, I don't know about you, but I feel like when I program, and I'm sure this gentleman's the same way, like there's something you kind of like fall back to, and just like you get into somebody else's groove, and you're like, damn, that's smooth. That's smooth. That's a night groove right there.
It's an ear catcher for sure. So this track, I actually discovered this back in like 2009, I want to say, when I was like when I was briefly going to junior college, and I had like full fettered access to the internet. Like, you know, before I had internet access at the high school, but that was kind of limited because I had a lot of blocks and stuff. This is my first full-on access to the internet. Like, you know, I wanted to just go find all the music I could find, and I found this guy's site. Like, he just hosted like his music on this random website. It was just a simple, you know, like m.s.fm, and he just had like about 10 plus tracks on there that he had made, and these were all made back in like the early 90s up to like, you know, late 90s. So this particular track was like 1992, and this is made in, you know, on the PC 98 computers, you know, because this guy, you know, you're familiar with like the whole demo scene thing, like that's kind of happened in the West and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this guy is kind of like, you know, Japan had their own equivalent of that, but like, you know, they'd do like, you know, music discs and compos, and like, because they had these PCs, like, you know, the NEC PC series, Sharp X68K, and, you know, people, they just have these computers, they'd be able to make music on it, and they'd get together as groups, release music discs. I think this guy did one, I think it's called like iMusian Station 2, I want to say he did one. And yeah, all his music is like kind of like, I hear it and I know it's him. You can find him on SoundCloud as MS Mayonnaise. And yeah, on his SoundCloud, he has like, you know, FM music, stuff that he made with the PC Engine, as well as synthesized and MIDI stuff as well. And yeah, it's all just really, really good. It has, some of them are kind of like this vibe, really funky, night jammy. Some of it's really rockin', kind of you know, only way I can explain it is like, you know, that Japanese FM PC music. Just like that particular, I don't know that's what to call it, but
yeah, I feel like there isn't an appropriate genre for it, but that's what makes it so perfect, is that like we don't have even the words to be like, that's what that is. It belongs there. We know it. We're familiar with it.
Yeah.
And again, it's like it speaks to the generational thing where I don't know what it is, but like, yeah, you go to like some website on like Angel Fire or like GeoCities, and like there's some guy and he just has these like bangers that he just like posted up and no one knows they exist. And like,
yeah,
there's that sort of like weird, it's like you have the Nuclear Code, just some like just sweet ass music, and that you don't even, no one else knows is there, and you just feel like you have a secret that nobody else does. And it's a time that I feel like we're just never gonna get back to, and that's okay. You know, you can't move backward, only move forward. But it's awesome that like we get to share it, because I would have never found that ever if I had not been able to hear it. So
yeah, that's kind of one of the big reasons I started this show, is because I had a lot, like the stockpile of just awesome music I found, like, you know, both VGM and original, that, you know, I don't know if anybody else has listened to it or heard it, like especially this stuff. Like that site I found it on is down now, and the only really place you can find it is I have it uploaded up to my Google Drive as like just a link that's on the episode that I first featured one of his tracks on. I think he only has a couple tracks from that collection that I have on his SoundCloud. The rest of them are ones I've never heard before. So it was like I was all over it, and I've already listened to like maybe 10 times over.
You found it. You found it, just a treasure cove, man. You went behind the proverbial waterfall and you just found the treasure. So you just gotta hold on to that and just share it.
I want to share my riches with people. So that's why I opened this store. That's why I opened this shop. You know, it's a little funky.
Absolutely.
It's a little funky, but hey, you know, everybody's free to come in here and just browse about. You never know what you'll find at an emporium.
And that's why everyone keeps coming back. They don't like the shiny hermetic, you know, display at the fancy store. You want to go get a little funk every so often. So you go to the, you know, the corner store with the guy that, you know, he's always there behind the counter helping you out.
That's the guy. I'm the guy. And now we're getting on to your next track here. And this looks like it's another original, not VGM related, but it's an original chiptune coming from one of our contemporaries, actually.
Yes, sir.
So what is this that we got here?
So we got from R3 or Retron, depending how they go by that particular moment. We got Unnecessary Sex Scene, and I know from a little bit of research they did their own PC98 kind of styled album. I think they use FL Studio, but again, they like lock the feel in absolutely. And they got that, again, it's got like that sort of 90s, like sort of techie FM bass, like kind of groovy. We're not going too fast, we're not going too slow vibe to it. So
it's definitely a vibe. there, folks. It was, it was necessary in this case. This is Unnecessary Sex Scene by Retron or R3tron, whichever one. We haven't asked him yet. I'll have to ask him. This is an original chiptune, and you said this was made in FL Studio using like something? Yeah, I don't know the exact like VSTs and stuff they go for, but I know that they've mentioned multiple times using FL Studio, and like I said, if you go on Bandcamp or anywhere you find their stuff, they got like a PC98 style album, and I feel like the PC98 is quite frequently known for just what seems like just unnecessary sex scenes. So yeah, appropriately titled. Yeah, no, the PC98 is a wellspring of very much unnecessary sex. Thus was the Wild West of the Japanese PC.
No doubt.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. Like, I love Retron stuff because, like, they just go for this particular sound a lot. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just that really nice, deep, funky kind of
right. I mean, again, striking, like a perfect tempo between like up tempo and down tempo. And I know we were talking a little bit about it, like, again, just like picking the right instruments. And it feels like it's not arbitrary, obviously, but it seems like just such a perfect blend between like the FM bass, that like sort of gritty FM bass, and then you get that little, that like sort of percussive, like it's not a marimba, I don't know what it is, but it does that little echoey like do 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 do.
Yeah.
And it just like builds up in the song, and just like those little, same thing as Yuzo Koshiro, just like those little bits that kind of like add up and they stick in your brain.
Yeah, you were saying like the patchwork is really nice. And it is really hard to come up, like, like sit down and make really good patches, because if anybody's messing around with FM, you know that it is a that is like the first half of making a song with this stuff.
It really is.
Is making like, because a lot of folks, like, a lot of people like will take, because nowadays there's like all kinds of tools and even like just libraries of patches ripped from games already. So a lot of folks are just using those straight up and are, fine with doing it. But then eventually you want to kind of get into like making your own stuff. And, for me, when I was starting to make my own music, like with a VGM Music Maker and the Death Mask, I'm always kind of just making my own stuff, just like starting with initial patch, and then just messing around, not knowing what I was doing until I found something that sounded okay, and then just went with it. So I've only done a few times where I've taken like a patch from a game or from whatever pack somebody's made and just kind of just used it straight up without modifying it.
I mean, I feel like it really plays into like the gamer approach too. Like there's the purist approach, right? Like you don't want to look up the strategy guide, you don't want to use the walkthrough, like you just kind of want to stumble through it and find all like the good stuff. So I totally get it. I'm the same way. Like you feel like, I'm not gonna describe it. Absolutely no disrespect to people that use patches from other games, right? You want to capture a certain sound, but like sometimes you're just like, damn, I want this to be like my thing, my sound in my head, exactly. And like you just, you kind of, it takes a while to get there, no doubt. And again, props to R3 for like just absolutely nailing it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Just that bass. I can't. Sorry, I just.
Yeah.
and then just like the PSG chords kind of just like float there in the background. That.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Just nailed that.
I mean,
nailed that sound. God damn.
It speaks again to mixing too. It's like all the parts of the music that bring it together, right? I feel like when you're making this stuff, it seems so easy, but when you actually sit down, you're like, oh damn, that is impressive.
Yeah, no. And speaking of impressive, I got the next track here is coming from another chiptunist that is, active right now. That is just an absolute, just like, I don't know even what to call him, savant, master, beast on making just amazing patches with FM. So up next we have Nightclub Zone by Amon. So, folks, that was Nightclub Zone, and that was made with the combination of the YM2151 and the Sega PCM, or the Sega Arcade Combo. And this was by Amon, spelled A-M-4-N. And, my God, this guy, Amon, is another one of those, holy sh**, where the f*** did you come from, chiptunists? And how are you doing this?
Absolutely, I can't even, the words you said were spot on. And I feel like the synthesis of, like, you know, the stand-up bass, the voice sample, and like mixing that with FN instruments, and they almost like seamlessly somehow come together. It just, you know, samples, drum samples, sure, makes sense, like totally quote unquote easy. But when you get like stuff that's outside those ranges and those styles, and you start blending real instruments with FM instruments, and they sound almost like they belong perfectly together. I am one who is envious.
Yeah, because I've tried messing around with like because with how the Sega PCM works, you know, you load up samples in there, but it's only one note. Like, so, like, say you load up like a piano sample and it's C. In the tracker, you can't actually put in like different notes because the sample is assigned to the note. So, like, you know, C, C+, you know, all that stuff. So how you had to do it is like through this effect command, which affects the delta, like the delta code, which changes the pitch of the sample. And what they're doing with all these like saxophone and voice samples is like just the one sample at a set note, and then they're doing with like that effect command, and not only that, but just all this really complex sliding and stuff. And it's just like, how do you have the patience, the time for this? I don't understand. How are you making this sound so amazing?
Right. It's like coding with musicianship. It's such a crazy combination.
And then like kind of going back and forth between the acoustic stand-up and then this really nice, I don't even know what to call it, like really nice twangy bass, like FM bass. Oh, it's like, it's craziness. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, there's really no words for it. You just got to go listen to it. You know, find them on Twitter. Find them on SoundCloud, like anywhere. It's just like there's so much of this stuff out there too. You just gotta take a little time. So if anyone out there is like liking, you know, especially like the quote unquote indie stuff and the VGM scene, like it's all there. You just gotta go find it. That's what I found out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'll be linking everybody's stuff here, including yours, in the show notes, so they can hopefully, you know, go all find you. Because I encourage people to like just check out all this stuff. Because you know, listening to you know, video game music is good. I encourage that, but finding like original chip tunes and just original music that sounds like it could be in a video game but is not, you know, made by people who maybe want to be in a video game someday. You know, that's the stuff I really want to encourage people to listen to, because it's an amazing like world in there.
Yeah, and like you get to talk to these people and follow them too, and there's a lot of cool people out there that, you know, just share either their techniques, or you just kind of get to know them, and it's kind of, it brings it all together. It's nice to kind of know the people behind the music too.
Yeah, and for me, like, you know, I've only kind of been online talking to a few people, like, you know, mostly talking to you, a little bit with like Jake Silverman. I've recently gotten in contact with Samuel Weiss, Schnabubula. Actually, like, somehow got his phone number and was talking to him a bit.
Nice.
But I've recently gotten to meet Jake Silverman, Button Masher, in person. And it's been really interesting to like actually talk to somebody like in person that knows how all this stuff works, you know, maybe more than I do, and just kind of share things that way. And it's just like I want to have that, more of that, just like less, you know, of course more like, you know, reaching out to people online, but more meeting people in person and actually having these conversations too, like how we're having right now. Like, even though we just see each other in a camera, you're, you know, sideways a bit there. Howdy, boy. But yeah, no, just being able to like get in deep with somebody, like beyond text, and like actually hearing like their voice, and like just, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels really good.
Brings it together, man. Yeah, it brings it together. It's like we talked about, same as the music, just like it activates something, tickles something in the brain. You
got another one here for us that is a little tickle in your brain, I think.
Yes, sir. So this one's gonna be called Take It and Run, from Breath of Fire 3 on the PlayStation 1. Again, kind of showing all my cards, going back to the roots. Another one of those RPGs that just like kind of, just made me think about music and just getting into it. And I don't know if you feel this way, Rage Gage, but like for me, the PS1, especially the soundtrack, and this is why I got into making music with Cubase, and kind of what like attracted me to it, is Cubase has these default instruments that are like one step above MIDI. And I feel like Breath of Fire 3 had that music where I'm like, I know it's not real, but it's kind of real. And like, it's something about the it's a mix of just the mixing, the quality, the patches or instrument work, like it all brings it together. And this is the same idea. Like, it's not a live instrumentation, but at the same time it like captures all the elements of just like old school gaming that just keeps you coming back.
Okay, so that was Take It and Run from Breath of Fire 3, composed by either or Yoshino Aoki and Akari Kaida. This is a game that I unfortunately did not get to play when I had a PS1, and I still haven't gone back and played it. So, but from what I understand, this is considered like the best Breath of Fire game, and probably one of the best RPGs on the PS1. Am I correct in this saying this?
Oh yes, sir. I mean, we were talking a little bit, quote unquote, during break at the shop, and this is one of those games that I've played. I think 99 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds, trying to find all like the different secrets and stuff. And this particular scenario, you're sneaking into the mayor's house pretty early on, like one of the first towns you get into. And you have to sneak into the mayor's house, and all the different ghosts from the family's past come up, and you have to kind of like fight them along the way. So there's a nice like kind of spooky counter theme once you break in, but this is kind of on the outside of the house.
So it's kind of like almost kind of like looking for a way to break in type thing.
Absolutely. So yeah, you can get caught in the spotlight. You got to find like the right kind of path. You got to bribe a guard here and there, those kind of things.
Yeah, it's just like everything about this track, kind of like again, like you were saying, like just those sounds, like the piano, the bass, the sax, everything sounds like something that comes preset with like any like DAW, like their sound library and stuff, and it's just like. Yeah, I've never really had the urge to really make like PS1 style music. Like I've only done it a couple times in Sunbox, but there's definitely like an undeniable like kind of like just like charm to it all, because it I don't know how to explain it.
I can't describe it any better than it's almost appropriately campy. It's like it doesn't take itself too seriously. Between like the melodies they use, the instrument sounds, like it's almost like it's like it's not ironic. It's not intentionally. It's very good music, so it's not intentionally bad. But like it just like how they really struck like the perfect chord and the balance between like being serious but also kind of having fun with like a game about a dragon.
Yeah, I got you on that. And yeah, again, like the sound of the PS1, like the sound, like this soundtrack is really good. And then if you listen to Breath of Fire 4, it's like a step up from that, like just the way how everything sounds, everything's mixed so well. And then I don't know, you ever play Saga Frontier 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know like the masterpiece that is Masashi Hamauzu's Saga Frontier 2 soundtrack, and just my God, like I said, that was my first RPG on the PS1, and just the way how it sounds, just like everything, like late PS1 games, like even though it's all sampled and processed through like that sound processor, they figured out how to make everything sound so good, and like actual close to, like if you didn't know better, you would think it was like live performance.
Right. Now that one, I think Saga Frontier 2 in particular, like I definitely would describe almost like as like a soundscape. It just like it's very fitting for the scenes. It's like epic before it became like hiring an entire. It's like a one-man epic show, which is how incredible it is. I think we're both thankful that we don't have to necessarily go through all the hoops and boundaries that used to exist technologically for us to make this kind of music, because I don't know if I'd do it if I would.
Yeah, I'm fine with just trying to emulate it, like trying to figure out like how the reverb works, getting like the sounds, like actually ripped all the samples from Saga Frontier 2 and like figured out, kind of like got close to how it was mixed, like EQ, the reverb and everything, and just kind of did it that way. I can't imagine having to actually try to like go back and figure out how to like program it to be work with all that technology, because like just watching a PSF go, because like instead of staying on one channel, like everything like switches around, and like it's like dynamic channels. So like a bass will play and say in channel 1, and then next it'll be in channel 20, like the next note. It's so weird. So I can't imagine what it takes to like program all that into like a cohesive thing.
Right. Absolutely. Again, thankful I don't have to do it.
But in all this, I just realized in this whole thing, we've only maybe talked about like night jamming only a few times, and then kind of more just like talked about the more slightly technical things. It's just but this is a night jam. It's kind of more of a kind of a lively kind of a. What would you say, like, if this was like in a kind of a nighttime scenario? Where would you say this would be?
Oh boy, yeah, this is like if if I'm not apparently sneaking into the mayor's house and trying to get the money for the townspeople that he stole it from, I'd probably hear this. I don't know. Yeah, it's got that like little like I don't know if it's like a covered like trumpet, like a little trumpet bit in there, maybe like a little, like a jazz club of some kind.
Yeah, but man, you brought many a good night jams, many of jams of the night. Though again, like kind of not the ones I expected from the initial list you had sent me, but still really good nonetheless.
Well, you know what? Sometimes there's nothing better than just spending the night listening to some music and shooting the shit. So
yeah, no, it's I feel like this is more of like was just kind of an excuse to finally just like get to like talk to you and as close to his person as possible, and just like talk shop, kind of really like just talk to somebody else who knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's part of the fun. It's just like knowing you're not the only person out there. So I'd encourage anyone, Haberchuck or Haberchuck.music. Reach out if you just like ever want to collab on anything or just like want some other weirdo that's into video game music to talk to. Yeah, I'm here, and obviously Rage Cage is here too. So it's been awesome.
Oh yeah. So I know you said where folks can find you, but like where. I wanted to give you the whole rundown of where folks can find you, where they can find your music.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Everything.
So you can do SoundCloud, you can do Spotify. Luckily, I play in a band called The Filthy Lowdown if you're into punk thrash music. That's a little off the grid comparatively. But so any Spotify stuff, you'll find both Haberchuck and that stuff on there. Again, Twitter, you got YouTube. Oh, I don't know, man. I'm trying. You try to go everywhere you possibly can. So you'll probably find me out there in some capacity if you look.
And I highly encourage everyone to just check his music out because it's all really good. And you're just constantly making stuff too. Like like every other day, I think I see you're like got something new posted up, and you have like all the visuals going on with it too.
Well, you know what? Doing Battle of the Bits, if you're not familiar, the little like you do online battles of music, typically 1 hour long. The one user there recommended submit even if it's shit. So you just kind of sometimes you gotta power through some of your less than stellar ideas, and you know what? Sometimes you get some gems out there.
I gotta get back more into that because I've only done like a few of them, and I think I told you about it. And so you're really starting to get into it now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying.
Damn, yeah. I need to try to get into that. And because I kind of get into my head too much, like thinking like, oh god, there's so many amazing people like just putting stuff up there. Like, what is my stupid little thing compared to all this? And like I try to tell myself like that's not the thing. That's not how it is. But I can't help it.
No, I get it, man. Absolutely. Well, I encourage anyone that's listening to this, if you haven't started making video game music and you want to, just do it, man. Find something to make music on. Go do it. Because I know if I hadn't started and just kind of gotten on this way, I would never been on this journey. I'd never been in the shop, and I never got to hang out with you. So I'm thankful for it.
Oh, yeah. Thankful to it as well. But, yeah, no, it was a pleasure to have you on, and I hope to have you on again in the future. Bringing more jams. I don't know if the night, but jams nonetheless.
Absolutely. I'll say more on task. We got our introduction, our fun out of the way. So next time we'll handle a little more store business.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Chuck of Haberchuck, for coming in and sharing your night jams. And folks, I will be linking all his links to all his music that you can find. A lot of it is very much in the vein of what we just listened to today. So if you like ridiculously jazzy chiptune, definitely give him a follow on Twitter and SoundCloud. And actually, something pretty cool to keep watch out for if you do follow him is that it's kind of happening in the background right now, but there's this collaboration that he's wanting to do. It's going to be including a bunch of chiptunists, myself included, and we're all going to be putting in like a couple tracks each, and it's going to be really cool. I personally haven't started anything yet because I'm trying to get my gears turning, and I'm hoping this, as well as the 7 days of VGM that's going to be happening this month, it will be the factor that finally gets me back into making music again. And one more thing, I'm pretty sure most of you are probably, really like thinking about this, wondering about this, and I will address it, is that slight delayed reverb on Chuck's voice. It was a result of his recording, I guess, like, kind of the way how he was recording it was capturing him and myself, and it was kind of feeding back on itself. So I tried removing it through Audacity, through all the different noise reduction tricks and all that stuff, but each time it just kind of turned out really weird and tinny and not that good, so I just left it as is. It's not that bad. It's pretty cool, so there it is. So now I'm going to say it again. Thank you, Chuck, for coming on, and I really look forward to the next time you decide to come pay a visit to the shop. And hey, if there's anybody new to the shop, probably because of this guy's recommendation, you can find VGMporium on all your favorite podcatchers such as Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Amazon, Audible, blah. And then as well as on VGMporium.wordpress.com, where you can find all the episodes. That's basically, it's just all the episodes, nothing fancy. And you can also find it on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're interested, there is a Discord, which you can find the link in the show notes as well as on the main page. Not much going on in there right now, but one cool thing you can do is put in a special order on there or through the email, which is VGMporium@gmail.com. So now what is coming up next is, I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of going back and forth on a couple things as usual. I'm either going to do a chip focus or just something else. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I land on.